Hi, my friends. This is Tracy. I made an earlier video, but I was driving and the background noise was just a little too much. So I decided to make the video again. Hopefully, I'm stopped right now, so hopefully the sound is better. I want to make this the second part of my NDE. I never did a second part, and I kind of wanted to talk about life after my NDE. So, after I died there in the snow down in Texas and I met Jesus, I was in the hospital for about a week. I had a couple surgeries. All my arteries had been blocked. I had some stents put in there. And I got home. I was shocked because I was 45 years old, number one, and I kind of had a rough life. I went through a lot of emotional things in my life, and I don't think that contributed much to good health, if you know what I mean. Our emotional state is so important to our health, I think, and a lot of it is hereditary, but I think that plays a big part in our health. Anyway, that's besides the point. But so I had a couple of surgeries and I got home, and the first couple months I was just trying to recover, and I don't know how to describe this, but it's like losing someone you love very much. Like say you're married and you lose your spouse that you're very happy with, or something along those lines. What happened to me, my experience with Jesus was very brief, but it was the most powerful thing that had ever happened to me. And I think time is longer in heaven too than on this earth. So even though it may have been a couple of minutes, it was probably a longer experience than that. But it had such a powerful impact on me because to feel just a short few minutes of his love that was so complete and so like nothing I'd ever felt. I felt accepted for the first time in my life. I felt completely loved and filled with it. I felt just all these wonderful feelings from him. And so, now I'm back in my body trying to recover. And I'm having all these emotions about, why am I not with him and those type of things, which got a little worse because a couple months later, I had to get a local job. I'm a truck driver, and I got a local job, and I realized, after I started there that I would have several deliveries during the day. And I couldn't remember. It didn't matter if I'd been there like a week before or even the day before. I couldn't remember what the building looked like. I couldn't remember how to get there. My boss would say, you're going to go over to Brown's. And I'd think, okay, where's that? I should know. The name's familiar, but I don't know where it is. Gosh, it was very stressful because I was trying to do a job and I didn't even know where I was going, And I would cry and just very stressed out, trying to function in a world with no short-term memory. I tell you, I have so much empathy for people that have Alzheimer's, because when your brain isn't functioning the way you need it to, it's scary. It's really scary. And I eventually got to a brain doctor that told me I had a lesion on my brain that he figured was probably from the lack of oxygen to my brain. But the blood flow and everything, the oxygen was stopped to my brain because I had over 90% blockages. And so when I was exerting myself, nothing was going to my brain. And so that's what caused the short-term memory loss. So I was dealing with that, trying to work. I was stressed out. And I kept having like these almost abandonment feelings of, just wanting to feel that again, wondering why am I not there? I just want to be there. I don't want to deal with this. So, a little bit of depression, a little bit of, I got on medication for depression, as a matter of fact, and just a little depression of feeling like, why am I here? Why didn't I get to stay there? When you feel loved, and then it's almost like it feels like abandonment when you don't have that now, and there's nothing that can compare to that. And this world can't compare to that. And so I was having that, and then I would go from that. It wasn't anger or anything. It was just sadness that, I was having to deal with the stress and worry of what was going to happen. And, being 45 years old and having this major health issue. It was just a scary time. And the flip side of that was it was a powerful, powerful experience that I kept reliving, and I would just bawl from the joy of feeling loved by the Lord and just reliving it. And it was very powerful, a very powerful experience. And I still relive it, and I'll just start bawling. It'll just hit me, and I'll just start bawling. Sometimes, since that happened to me, I started listening. I wanted to hear, did other people have the same experiences that had near-death experiences? Were they the same? What were they, I think maybe I'd heard of it before, but, I just had no idea that, there's 8 million people alive in the world today that's had near-death experiences, because, when our heart stops and our blood starts pumping, that's immediately where we go. And a lot of people are brought back to life with modern, the way things are now. Your heart could stop, but they can restart it. So, a lot of people are their spirit leaves immediately, and a lot of people are brought back. So, they come back telling what happened. And a lot of people had much longer experiences than I did. The lady I just listened to was passed for 90 minutes. And when I woke up, I had peed myself. I was, it's just so weird to think that you can die and you can come back. I know most people don't even think about that. You think when you die, you're just dead, and you've moved on. But it's kind of a weird feeling when you come back from something like that. So, some people may think, oh, well, that'd be the neatest thing to experience. And it was beautiful. But at the same time, it almost leaves you, and I'm not saying I love the Lord. I'm not saying anything. It's just the best way I could describe it. You almost feel abandoned, or, you feel out of place. You're trying to reacclimate, and then with a major health condition and major memory problems and brain problems. Now, the residual things that I experience now is just mainly my speech, just being able to communicate what my brain is thinking, and it doesn't always come out right. I'll use a wrong word, or I can't think of a word. That's probably the biggest thing that I notice now. But during that year, I would be walking and I'd just step to the side and trip, and I was having body crazy stuff too. And I would fall down, and it just, a lot of stuff like that, just effects from it in my body as well. But I got through it, and it's just miraculous that it healed itself somehow, or maybe the Lord healed it. But it's fine now. I mean, I can remember my customers. I can remember who they are. I couldn't even remember who worked in the building, who I was going to see. So I'd walk in unsure, and then I would see them and go, oh, hey, now I couldn't tell you their name, but I would feel more comfortable because then I would kind of remember. Or I would see the doc and I'd go, oh, okay. This is what I do here. But I couldn't think of it on the way there. And it was a scary time. So the main thing, it was a beautiful experience. And the human spirit is so different than us when we're in our body, which is so strange to me because our spirit is so beautiful. And I want to share another story, just another glimpse that I had into the spiritual realm. I was in my truck about a year ago. The near-death experience happened in the January of 2014, but in the past year, probably about a year ago, I was having started developing sleep apnea, and I was in my truck, and I guess I'd stopped breathing, but I really wasn't aware that I had stopped breathing. But I was aware all of a sudden of my mother's presence, her spirit. And this is what I'm saying about the spirit being so beautiful. I was aware of her spirit, and it was so beautiful. Her spirit was so beautiful. And I knew her spirit. Like I knew her spirit, and I was experiencing the wonderful feelings and joy of her spirit. And she was there, but I didn't really know it was my mother, but it was familiar, and it wasn't dawning on me that it was my mother. So I felt the presence first, and, I think this happened pretty quickly, but I felt that the spirit, and then I was able to see the spirit. I could see my mother. It looked like my mother, and I could see her, but I wasn't seeing her through my eyes. I was seeing her with my spirit. So I don't know if I came out of my body a little bit or, how that happened. And I could see her, and it was just starting to dawn on me before I saw her that this person, this beautiful spirit was my mother, and that I knew her very well. I knew all the parts of her spirit. I don't know how to describe that. And, when I realized that it was my mother, there was somebody standing to the left of my bed, beside my bed. And I think it could have been my grandfather. And, my mother was in between me and the wall of my truck that, I sleep next to. And she was knelt over me when I saw her. And she looked beautiful. And she had put her hand on my heart, and she said, she has a heartbeat. And as soon as she said that, I could see it was getting cloudy. The image of her was cloudy, and I was getting to where I couldn't see her anymore, and I knew that I was going back. Like, it's so hard to describe, like I was going back into my body. And I wanted to get out. Hi, Mom, but nothing was coming to me for a second. And I finally got it out. Hi, Mom, and boom, I was back in my body. And when I woke up, I went, just this deep, huge breath. I don't know how long I'd been not breathing, but it was a really big breath. And anyway, my friends, I'm about out of time. But my main reason for telling all this stuff is to tell you that life after this life is so much more beautiful. And there's nothing to fear by death. And that God loves you. And I'm out of time. Love you, my friends. God bless.